Morning intuitives. I have another topic I've been thinking about for a few days, and now I think my thoughts are enough together to get a video out. And this one's going to be about why INFJs and ENFJs a lot of the times become workaholics, why work's so important to us, especially like when we're, recently out of university, like in our 20s, and I'll explain why that is, particularly because our social lives usually aren't that great at that time. So before I get into that, I think you all know what I'm gonna say. Please, come on, throw a 5 spot at Same You for brain injury recovery. Please, it's for a good cause. That's why I'm doing 33 videos in the month of July as my 33, because 1 in 3 people suffer a brain injury in their lifetime, and if you add in things like concussions, that's probably even a bigger number. So I created a playlist, July 33 for charity, so you can track my progress of the videos that I've uploaded this month as holding up my end of the bargain and reaching the goal of 33 uploads in the month of July. So please, the link will be in the comments. I'll pin it. Just go on there, give $5. Give more if you want to, but come on, $5. It's like a tip. Be a mensch. All right. So INFJs and ENFJs, workaholics. Why is that? Well, we're both known for our insight and empathy. INFJs more for our insight, ENFJs more for their empathy, and we both struggle with perfectionism. There are many reasons why we struggle with perfectionism, but this is kind of like the nasty side of perfectionism, how workaholic syndrome, or whatever you call it, becomes a bit of a problem for us. So both types, INFJs and ENFJs, are visionaries. We're forward thinking. We have everything we want planned out. We're not the kind of people that, fly by the seat of your pants, shoot from the hip, and just see what happens. We have a plan. We have a long-term plan, and it's something, particularly in our career, it's something that we've planned out for a very long time. And when that plan, goes to hell, if it does, then that's not good for us. So we thrive in contemplation and quiet meditation about things. We put missing pieces of puzzles together, introverted intuition. We're so focused and consumed by reaching our vision that, we bypass and think over any other thing that's going around us at the time. Work for us, our career, is our sense of identity and purpose. We see a lot of our self worth wrapped up in achieving that career goal, whatever it may be, and excelling in that profession. We can at times live to work and not work to live, particularly in times where our social lives aren't great. So, because INFJs and ENFJs want to reach that career goal, that end game, as quickly as possible, a lot of times our 20s we won't have much of a life because INFJs are so wrapped up in trying to, in that perfectionism, to be the best in something that they care about, and ENFJs in their 20s have trouble saying no. INFJs too, to a lesser degree. So we would normally be the people who always volunteered to work overtime, come in extra shifts, change vacation plans, and this can have some negative effects. So while we're so laser focused on achieving that career goal as soon as possible, we don't have much of a social life. We don't get out much. And for INFJs, we're all right with living in our own head. ENFJs, that starts to get to them after a while, and a lot of times that's when they'll end up with somebody not so good because, they'll convince themselves that somebody is a good match when it's really right place, right time. All right, so our 20s, workaholic time. A lot of times that would be like when a long-term relationship falls apart for both types because we'll see it as like our only chance at that career and think, oh, we're like 23, there's plenty of time to meet somebody else, that kind of thing. So while we're being workaholics, we're really not dating much, especially if you have a job which requires, odd hours and traveling like I did. When I was in my 20s, I was an assistant golf course superintendent at Aronimink Country Club, which is a top 100 club, who was hosting a PGA event that year in 2011, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I worked 12, 14-hour days, 7 days a week. And in the off season, in the wintertime, or when, it was slower times, I was sent as a top graduate from the Penn State program to work other PGA events at other courses. So a lot of times, if I wasn't on my home course working all the time, and I also lived on the property, I was driving for hours by myself to go work a tournament in driving distance, or I was getting on a plane to go work a tournament um, in another state, it was too far to drive from, or I was getting in a plane or a car to go to some conference that I had to speak at. And that was not a healthy thing. While I was a workaholic, I hated my job. It meant nothing to me. It was just a paycheck, and the paycheck wasn't even that good. And that whole sense of self-worth was gone because, like I've mentioned in other videos, I wanted to be a professional firefighter since I was 17 years old, and I put myself through EMT school and began running ambulance calls at the age of 17 in 2004. And I'm not going to get into why things took so long. I think I touched on it, recession, shot, there's all kinds of, that's a video in itself. But without that sense of self-worth, because so much with us is wrapped up in helping people, if you don't feel like you're doing anything for the greater good as an INFJ or ENFJ, you really have no self-worth. And especially if because a lot of us, not all, but a lot of us are demisexuals, and we seek that one true unconditional love. It's not like we can go out and have a casual fling, so that pushes us further into workaholic mode. Because if our social life is crap and all we have is our job that gives us, any sense of self-worth, we're just going to double down on that, unfortunately. So if you're in a work situation and you're becoming a workaholic and you have, uh, no romantic relationships, or no prospects, you're going to go deeper down that hole and throw yourself completely into work because that's all you have, and you're convinced in your head, well, I'll just be, at least I have my job. I mean, this was me when I was in the fire academy. During COVID, I finally got to a progressive area where I wanted to live, type of area I wanted to live, very diverse. Couldn't enjoy it. Lockdown. Like a month after I got there. So I just completely threw myself into what everything meant to me to be a firefighter, and it just pushed me down that workaholic route. Okay, the other reason we become workaholics, and this one is more for ENFJs, it's because of using extroverted feeling, their main function, in a consuming way. If we aren't consumed with our vision, even, or perhaps if we are, we may be consumed by the need to take care of people. Sound familiar, ENFJs? Taking care of other people instead of yourself. Both types can be yes people who can't turn down requests to help, even in the most minor hints that a person might need them will cause us to want to ride to their aid. Yeah, INFJs and ENFJs, you can't deny it, we have a little bit of a hero complex. So anything that stifles our vision is a pushback, and we see it as the end of the world, particularly because these are things we probably, as far as our career goes, were things we had planned for so long. Perfectionism also inhibits our logic a little bit. So as a result, we get stuck in an NITI loop, searching for the answers as to why things went wrong. And a lot of times we get lost in checking over facts, looking for the truth, trying to pin down everything and sift out any unnecessary, potentially flawed logic. Yep, sounds like INFJs. That's an NITI loop, basically. So we have to realize as INFJs and ENFJs that achieving our career goals isn't the end all be all. I mean, I thought, I had felt broken for a long time because I was working in a career I hated, working 7 days a week. My love life has basically most of the time been crap since I graduated university. A lot of that's due to the hours I work and also the area where I live. But I thought, after all those years, and I finally got hired for the second time by a professional fire department at the end of 2019, that would be my end-all be-all fix. Like, all I need is to achieve the career goal I've wanted all these years, and once I do that, I'll be whole again. And it doesn't work that way. I mean, it certainly helps. It certainly helps to finally meet those goals that you've set for so long, but you can only throw yourself into work to a certain degree. If you have no balance, even in a job you love, you're going to burn out. And you're especially going to burn out if you're a complete workaholic that allows themselves to be taken advantage of at that job, even if it's a job you love. Eventually, being exploited and taken advantage of is going to get to you, and you're going to burn out. That's just how things work. So the main reason why we become, those are the main reasons why INFJs and ENFJs become workaholics, because of what our career means to us in our self-worth, and because a lot of times in seeking those career goals, we neglect our social lives, and thus that drives us further down the workaholic hole, because we believe work is all we have to prove who we are and our self-worth. All right, a little bit on why we become workaholics. Please, again, donate. Never sell out your integrity. Always trust your intuition, and pay attention for synchronicities.